Can't go in without boots on. My dad's farm here that they've been running for a little over 100 years.
God's country, Decorah, Iowa, northeast corner of the state.
The only thing that changes is some small little like coffee shops that pop up every other year or something like that, and I'll be like, oh, that just must have popped up while we were playing football.
We're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and some people's like, well, we know that there's tough football players up in this area, but are we a long ways away from the limelight?
It was great. High school football was a ball here. A lot of really good friends and a lot of good times on this field.
I certainly learned real quickly never to underestimate Josey Jewell.
He wanted an OG bowl, which is one acai packet, banana, a frozen banana, and then a half fresh banana. And then we have a little coconut milk, a little bit of honey, and what else do we got? I think that's about it. And that's the base, and then we'll have to put the toppings on after we blend it. So. Well, anybody that runs a restaurant or anything that's food service, I have a lot of appreciation for now, that's for sure. The work is more than you think. We're in Decorah, Iowa, my hometown, at Route 43, so our juicery that my wife and I started. We keep some of our produce in here, and we keep some of our other stuff in a different facility that we can juice in since it's such a small area. It's part of the landing market where we have some nice restaurant. We got a charcuterie board place here, an ice cream place, and then our place, and then a coffee place. So a nice little vibe for a small town like this. The first 2 weeks when we opened up, I think it was, last February, yeah, they were pretty rough. It was just us two working the whole time. I think it was the start to finish, it was 8 to like 5, almost every single day for those first 2 weeks. And we had help from a little bit from my mom, and then Mick's sister, which is my wife, and then a couple other family members came out and helped. So, but now we finally got some workers in here. You guys aren't getting the best designed one today, but she ain't that bad. She looks pretty good. I went to school at Iowa for enterprise leadership, which is an entrepreneurial program through the business school. So enjoyed business stuff right away when I was there, and then saw the entrepreneurial track after my first year, and I said, well, why not do this? There's some cool things I want to try to create and try to run a business and be your own boss. So yeah, it's worked out well for me so far. I always thought in high school that I'd come back and farm and stuff like that, and then I still might come back and do some small stuff, but yeah, ever since then college happened, and then the football kept on going, I kind of put it in the back of the brain, and I might come back to it and maybe help out when I'm back, but probably not do a full-time farming thing, maybe a little hobby farm myself, or maybe work with my brother and dad, and we'll see how that goes, but who knows. But here it is right here. It's gloomy today though. God, that's a nice breeze actually though. We're at Jewell Enterprise, my dad's farm here that they've been running for a little over 100 years. We got organic turkeys right here that they are raising, about 24,000 of them, a little under, I believe. And yeah, they're only a week and a half old, so they're pretty tiny and pretty delicate at this age, and it's good to see them running around and chirping. Back in the day, we used to have to clean waters and stuff like that every once in a while. Feed flats the first 2 weeks, but after that, it was mostly him. I didn't love this too much. It's always hot in here. You're always sweating.
We asked them to do things on the farm that they didn't necessarily like at the time. It was the right thing to do. I mean, that's what growing up on the farm is all about, and you got to help out. And I think with all our children, it's paid big dividends in their adult life. The way they get after things, and not afraid to get their hands dirty and work hard.
To me, he was quiet. He didn't say a whole lot. He's not a real big talker, rah-rah guy, pat you on the back, hug you and that kind of stuff. But when he's on the field, he's all business, and he'll put the pads on you.
It was a step up. It was, you come to practice, and it was always going to be intense. And he elevated everybody's game, because if you weren't ready to play, you're going to get popped.
It's been a little bit, probably a couple of years since I've been back out here. I used to do some of my running out here during the off season and stuff like that, but no, definitely some memories, good memories here.
he wasn't flashy, but all of a sudden there he is. You know, I was watching some film again this morning just to kind of remember what, you know, how he did, because that's been a while back now. And golly, the championship game, he really was outstanding in that game. He intercepted a couple of passes, he had a couple of touchdowns, he ran punt back. He made an outstanding receiving catch, but he had fun, I think, playing all positions. He just loved the game of football.
He was a 4-sport athlete throughout high school and a 5-sport athlete in middle school. We could do wrestling and basketball. We had split seasons back then, and he had to pick between basketball and wrestling. And he was a great basketball player, but he could have been maybe even a state champ wrestler too. He was that tough.
The starting of getting noticed, you know, and getting on a bigger platform, and going to college and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of good things happened here, that's for sure. A lot of life-changing things.
To say Josey was recruited a little bit late, it would be an understatement. It's interesting, when he was in high school, he was a really good athlete, played on a championship team, and did a lot of things for them, offensively, defensively, obviously special teams as well. And my reservation, really, quite frank, I wasn't quite sure he was quite fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that the whole time about the athleticism and stuff like that, and you just kind of have to go through it.
We ended up offering Josey a scholarship roughly a week before signing. And during the entire process, he just kept looking at us like we were stupid. And in retrospect, he was exactly right. He knew exactly what was going to pan out.
I didn't know what I was going to expect walking in, so I kind of just went with an open book and not knowing it. And then after the first couple of weeks, then I was like, oh, you guys thought I wasn't athletic enough? We'll see now.
It became really apparent shortly into his time here that A, he was a really good football player, and then B, a guy that was extremely respected by everyone on the team, even at a young age. He was really just kind of commanded that respect.
It worked out. You know, the first year wasn't that pretty when I redshirted. Didn't do too hot, but that's just kind of how it is. You got to work yourself into some things, and you have a little transition period from 195 pounds or 190 pounds to, you know, 230 pounds or 235 pounds at the end of my college career. So I had to change my body a little bit.
I came to Iowa in 1981. That was my first year as an assistant. I was here for a decade, basically in the 80s. You know, two things I learned. If a guy was a farm kid, rarely were they bad football players, and if a guy was a good wrestler, same thing. They weren't bad football players. It didn't make them great players, but they understood what it took to work. They understood the fact that there's responsibility and ownership in what you do, and so that's a pretty good starting, a good foundation to becoming a good athlete.
With the 106th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Josey Jewell, linebacker, Iowa.
It was at Casa Bonita. The dude took a dive off the high dive.
Yeah, Broncos! Woo!
I didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know what team. Had a general idea of the round, kind of, you know, whether it be 2 to 5 or whatever it was. Yeah, it was great to hear the name called. Surreal, you know, you watched it a little bit when I was a kid, but we were always so busy either on the farm or playing around outside that you didn't really watch it. You just saw people playing, you know, on Sunday nights or Monday nights. So it was surreal just to be able to be in that moment and understand, you know, the future, what's going to happen.
Fast. There you go. Scoot. There you go. Good. Perfect.
Josey Jewell, linebacker for the Denver Broncos. You know, growing up liking the Denver Broncos, my favorite team and stuff, so it's definitely a dream.
Well, the fact that the Broncos were our favorite team was a little icing on the cake there. Didn't see it coming, wasn't even thinking about it, but yeah, we were just thrilled that Denver wanted him.
I got a call right before that, and the call was from a Green Bay number, and it was right when Green Bay was about to pick. And I was like, oh, cool, stay close by, and it was a reporter from Green Bay, and I was like, why? What are you doing calling me? So I had one of those false alarms, and I'm glad it was a false alarm because I love where I'm at. We're on the other side of the farm, across the river, where we have our cattle right now, which is about, I believe it's 120 head or so back here, cow-calf pair operation that my dad and brother run, and then also my wife and I own about 30 head or so of them. Looking good on the hillside right now, and they're happy cattle. So the rolling hills and the bluffs and the rivers create some sort of beauty over here in this corner of Iowa. that you don't get in the rest of Iowa, really, it seems like. So it's a nice little niche area there that you get all of that.
This was a Century farm in 1976. So Josey's brother Robbie is the 5th generation here to farm. You certainly learn the value of responsibility and work ethic. A great place to raise a family. I wouldn't have wanted it any different. We're very blessed.
Farming's a tough lifestyle. It's nonstop. It's you wake up, you go to sleep, and you live it and you breathe it. It's such a great area to have and to be able to play around in and just have your family grow up on it.